The Baltimore Book Festival is now underway, and authors from near and far are in Charm City to celebrate literature.
Yes, indeed. And today we're so excited because we're joined by Karyn Parsons. You may know her best from Hillary on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but now you're talking about your new novel. So good morning. Thanks for being up early with us on a Sunday.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So tell us about this novel.
Well, it's called How High the Moon, and it takes place in the 1940s in the segregated South. My mother grew up in a small town outside of Charleston, South Carolina, and she always talked about her childhood being so positive, and she was always so happy.
Wow.
And it occurred to me at some point that, wait a minute, this is really a difficult, dangerous time at some points for African Americans, and so I started to kind of plumb a little deeper, wanted to find out more about what her childhood was really like, and so I decided to write this book and kind of combine my 11-year-old self and my mother's, with her backdrop where she grew up, and see where it led me, and learn a little bit more about family and community and what makes keeps a child strong and happy under such a difficult lifestyle.
I feel like that story and that message will really resonate with the folks here in Baltimore. Are you excited to be talking to them? I know you have a lot of fans, at least back in our control room. They're very excited that you're here today. So tell us the feedback that you're getting from folks in this area.
Oh, it's been great. I mean, it's been wonderful. The feedback all around has been wonderful. It's so good to be here. I hope I get to explore a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to the festival. Now, the reception has been wonderful. I'm happy to, I mean, that's the best part, is when you can go out and you can talk to people and interact with them. And, and at this point, there are some people that I know will have, I'll be able to talk to who have read the book, and I'll be able to talk to them as opposed to just telling people about it and to what to expect. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
Yes, and how did you go from acting to writing? Because you've been very, very, very busy since you stopped The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, you know, after Fresh Prince, I continued doing, I did some other acting. And I started an organization called Sweet Blackberry, and our mission at Sweet Blackberry is to bring little-known stories of African-American achievement to children. And so I write those stories. They're animated films, short films with a single narrator. They're kind of like picture books come to life. And we've had Alfre Woodard, Queen Latifah, Lawrence Fishburne, Chris Rock all narrate them, and I've written them, and they are going to be books as well. That's coming up next year. But with some, you know, I finally was approached, you know, and I write, and somebody finally said, you know, you should really try to write something like a novel.
It's cool because we can see the transition from your on-air career to then, you know, a little bit of mixed media when it comes to writing and things on television, which is a great way for kids to learn. And now it's so much writing, which is amazing.
Which is
so
where I really want to be, but a lot of people wouldn't agree with you. They'd say, we never saw this coming.
Oh, really?
Because I played Hillary.
Yes.
And so I think people thought, how did this happen? But it's all storytelling, really. I mean, I think that's something that's interested me from the very beginning. Characters, people, our complexities, telling stories, and so this is just, you know, I've been doing The Fresh Prince and other acting, that was that. And then producing and writing the Sweet Blackberry stories, that has been storytelling as well, and character, you know, bringing these characters to children. And now with the books, it's just more of the same, just a kind of a different way of doing it.
And more about your novel. So what is it like having your mother as a character, an 11-year-old version of your mother, because you didn't know her then? So
no, and I asked a lot of questions. I mean, it's not her. What's funny is I tried to combine the two of us, and as it went on, this other person, Ella, just kind of ended up emerging, who's really nothing like my mother or myself. It's still her backdrop, it's still so much of her childhood, and there are things from my childhood that inform it as well. It's about a light-skinned girl who grows up with her black family. Her mother lives in Boston, and her grandparents and cousins live with her in the South, and she doesn't know if her father is white or not, and she's trying to find out about it. And she goes up north for a little while to stay with her mother in Boston, and sees the difference between how people are treated there from back home. And she also gets some clues as to who her father might be, and brings those back down to South Carolina. And so that's, you know, the part about, I mean, I knew who my dad was, but some of the things that I came up against are different from my mother's. Although I certainly didn't live in South Carolina in the 40s, you know, and so it's just a kind of a melding of these things. And like I said, this other character emerged that was nothing like my mother or myself. Ultimately, she's pretty great though.
Well, it sounds like a great book. So we're so excited to hear more about it. And of course, when we come back, we'll have the exclusive 7-day forecast.
Indeed, stick with us.